The 2002 National Electrical Code Handbook, specifically Section 220.3b9, addresses the number of receptacles permitted on a branch circuit. This section states that a circuit should not supply more than 16 receptacles of the type used for residential lighting, heating, cooking, or air conditioning. Exhibit 220.4 further clarifies this by providing a table that lists the maximum number of receptacle outlets permitted on 15 amp and 20 amp branch circuits. For 15 amp circuits, the maximum number of outlets is 10, and for 20 amp circuits, the maximum is 30 outlets. The general consensus within the electrical industry aligns with these National Electrical Code limits. The widely accepted practice is to limit the number of receptacles on a branch circuit to 10 for 15 amp circuits and 13 for 20 amp circuits. Adhering to these limits is crucial for ensuring electrical safety and code compliance. Exceeding these limits can lead to several potential problems. Firstly, overloading the circuit can cause the circuit breaker to trip frequently, which is inconvenient and can disrupt electrical service. Secondly, and more seriously, overloading can lead to overheating of the wires and receptacles, increasing the risk of electrical fires. Thirdly, exceeding the recommended number of receptacles can create voltage drop, which can negatively affect the performance of electrical appliances and devices connected to the circuit. Understanding the National Electrical Code requirements and the reasons behind them is essential for all electricians and electrical designers. It ensures that electrical installations are safe, reliable, and compliant with industry standards. Ignoring these limits can have serious consequences, including property damage, injury, and legal liability. When designing an electrical installation, it is important to consider not only the number of receptacles but also the anticipated load on each receptacle. High-demand appliances such as hair dryers, space heaters, and power tools can draw significant current and contribute to overloading the circuit. In such cases, it may be necessary to reduce the number of receptacles on the circuit or to use a dedicated circuit for high-demand appliances. Firstly, always consult the latest edition of the National Electrical Code for the most up-to-date requirements. Electrical codes are updated regularly to reflect changes in technology and industry best practices. Secondly, ensure that all electrical work is performed by qualified and licensed electricians. Improperly installed electrical wiring can be dangerous and can void insurance coverage. Thirdly, regularly inspect electrical installations for signs of wear and tear, such as frayed wires, cracked receptacles, and loose connections. Address any issues promptly to prevent potential problems. Maintaining a safe and compliant electrical system requires ongoing vigilance and attention to detail. Ignoring potential problems can have serious consequences. Understanding and adhering to the National Electrical Code requirements for receptacle limits is a fundamental aspect of electrical safety and code compliance. It ensures that electrical installations are safe, reliable, and capable of meeting the demands of modern electrical appliances and devices. The National Electrical Code provides specific guidelines for the number of receptacles allowed on a single circuit, and these guidelines are based on the circuit's amperage. A 15 amp circuit is typically limited to a maximum of 10 receptacles, while a 20 amp circuit is limited to a maximum of 13 receptacles. These limits are in place to prevent overloading the circuit and reducing the risk of electrical fires or other hazards. Overloading a circuit can cause the wires to overheat, potentially leading to insulation damage and an increased risk of fire. It can also cause the circuit breaker to trip frequently, disrupting power to the connected devices. The National Electrical Code guidelines for receptacle limits are based on the assumption that each receptacle will be used to power a typical load. If the connected devices draw more power than the circuit can handle, it can still be overloaded even if the number of receptacles is within the National Electrical Code limits. Therefore, it is important to consider the total load on the circuit when determining the number of receptacles to install. In addition to the National Electrical Code guidelines, there may also be local codes or regulations that further restrict the number of receptacles allowed on a single circuit. It is important to check with the local authorities to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. When installing receptacles, it is important to use the correct wiring and connectors for the circuit's amperage. 15 amp circuit should be wired with 14 American wire gauge wire, while 20 amp circuit should be wired with 12 American wire gauge wire. The connectors used to connect the wires to the receptacle should also be rated for the circuit's amperage. Improper wiring or connectors can create a fire hazard. It is also important to properly ground all receptacles to prevent electrical shock. Grounding provides a path for electricity to flow back to the source in the event of a fault, tripping the circuit breaker and preventing a dangerous buildup of voltage on the receptacle. The National Electrical Code also specifies the spacing requirements for receptacles in certain locations, such as kitchens and bathrooms. These requirements are designed to ensure that receptacles are conveniently located and readily accessible. In kitchens, receptacles must be installed along countertops so that no point along the countertop is more than 24 inches from a receptacle. In bathrooms, at least one receptacle must be installed near the sink. These requirements are intended to prevent the use of extension cords, which can be a tripping hazard and can overload the circuit. Firstly, it is important to note that the National Electrical Code is a set of guidelines, not laws. However, many jurisdictions have adopted the National Electrical Code as their electrical code, making it legally binding. Secondly, the National Electrical Code is updated every 3 years, so it is important to stay up to date with the latest edition. The National Fire Protection Association publishes the National Electrical Code. Thirdly, it is important to consult with a qualified electrician before performing any electrical work. Electricians are trained and experienced in electrical safety and code compliance. They can ensure that electrical installations are safe and compliant with all applicable codes and regulations. Ignoring the National Electrical Code limits on receptacles per circuit can have serious consequences, including electrical fires, shocks, and other hazards. It is important to follow the National Electrical Code guidelines and to consult with a qualified electrician before performing any electrical work. The National Electrical Code is a comprehensive set of standards that covers all aspects of electrical installations, from wiring and grounding to overcurrent protection and equipment installation. It is designed to protect people and property from electrical hazards. The National Electrical Code is developed by the National Fire Protection Association, a non-profit organization that develops and publishes codes and standards for fire prevention and safety. The National Electrical Code is updated every 3 years to reflect changes in technology and industry best practices. The National Electrical Code is widely adopted by jurisdictions throughout the United States and around the world. It is the basis for most electrical codes and regulations. The National Electrical Code is divided into chapters, articles, and sections. Each chapter covers a specific area of electrical installations. The articles provide more detailed requirements for specific types of equipment or installations. The sections provide specific instructions for how to install or maintain electrical equipment. The National Electrical Code also includes tables and examples to help users understand the requirements. The tables provide information on wire sizes, conduit fill, and other technical data. The examples illustrate how to apply the National Electrical Code requirements in specific situations. The National Electrical Code is a complex and technical document, but it is essential for anyone involved in electrical installations. Electricians, engineers, inspectors, and contractors all need to be familiar with the National Electrical Code to ensure that electrical installations are safe and compliant. There are many resources available to help people learn about the National Electrical Code. The National Fire Protection Association offers training courses, books, and other materials. Many community colleges and vocational schools also offer courses in electrical code. It is important to stay up to date with the latest edition of the National Electrical Code and to consult with a qualified electrician before performing any electrical work. Electrical installations can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary precautions to prevent electrical hazards. The National Electrical Code is a valuable tool for ensuring electrical safety and code compliance. In summary, when determining the number of receptacles on a circuit, it is important to firstly consult the National Electrical Code, secondly consider the anticipated load, thirdly check local codes. Fourthly, use correct wiring. Fifthly, ensure proper grounding. And sixthly, follow spacing requirements. By following these guidelines, you can ensure that your electrical installations are safe and compliant.